If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you've seen the movie so you'll know what parts I'm referring to when I chat about things that I liked and absolutely hated. Also, no disrespect to anyone involved in the movie, obviously, and if you do like this movie, that's absolutely fine. These are just my opinions after just watching it. I went into Thor Love and Thunder with knowing absolutely nothing about the plot. I'd seen the trailer, and even though I'd heard that some people really didn't like it, I didn't know why, and I wanted to give it a fair shot, which I did. Now I know why. I haven't been a fan of Thor's characterization in the last 2 or 3 movies, and I know everybody loves Ragnarok, but I found it personally, for the most part, just too bonkers, especially considering how serious the first 2 movies were, although the first Thor was the best by far. When we saw the silly Jane and Thor montage, it was painful. I cringed so much, my face was sore. The original Thor movie that had Jane and Thor's relationship was an important part of the story, and their relationship was more than just a conduit for Jane and Thor's joint stand-up routine. The only montage part I genuinely loved was Thor telling the hammer to always keep her safe. There are no stakes in this movie, even in the ending, and I'll explain why, and the whole concept of the movie felt like the writers were preparing for a best man speech and wanted to see which dad jokes landed before the big day than a story. Don't get me wrong, Thor 1 had comedic moments, and that was great, but it wasn't the only thing that it had going for it. Thor's journey to becoming worthy was more than just a comedy sketch. Marvel always had jokes in it, but recently it's gotten to the point where it's just a goddamn mess. I liked her, but Jane Foster was not in my top 5 MCU characters. However, when I was 8 years old, I watched Thor 1 during the Easter holidays, trying to steal my dad's leftover Easter egg chocolate, and thought she was cool. I wanted Thor and Jane to end up together. We haven't seen Jane Foster since 2013, and so ever since I was 10, watching Thor: The Dark World in the cinema. I'm watching Thor Ragnarok and seeing their relationship being the butt of a Loki Thor joke, and it's like, ugh, yeah, whatever. But then at the age of 19, the first time seeing an OG Marvel ship after 9 years, and this is what happens. So Jane has stage 4 cancer, and is Darcy or Eric Selvig supporting her beyond a FaceTime call and a quirky friend chemo chat? Nope. Didn't Eric in the first movie say he wanted to protect Jane because he was friends with her father? But that doesn't matter, because that would distract us all from the screaming rainbow bridge-making former tourist ride goats. And we wouldn't want that, would we? New Asgard is Legoland, but with perpetrators of genocide-themed ice cream parlours. It's one of these jokes that is like, at the time, but then when you think about it for more than half a second, it makes all the characters look bad. Death is not treated seriously at all either. Lady Sif on the battlefield saying that she's happy to die there and go to Valhalla even though she has a chance to live, and is only persuaded to live by Thor's comedy routine on how she wouldn't go to Valhalla because of this and that, and who cares? The gods are all a freaking joke. The God City is a comedy sketch, and Zeus is a comedian in a comedy club, but no one was laughing. The kidnapped kids were terrified and in a cage, and Thor gives them a 3-minute stand-up routine where he meets Heimdall's son. I had no idea that Heimdall had a kid, but okay. Thor scares the kids, and it's all very comedic. The one thing I really did like in this movie was the opening scene of the origin of Gorr. That was really cool, and you could sense his anger and betrayal at the god he worshipped. Everything with Gorr was great, except the fact that bringing his daughter back from the dead wasn't the first goddamn thing he thought to wish for. Anyway, Christian Bale absolutely smashed it, and when Gorr was on screen there was a presence, and the cinematography for him was creepy, and even when he was telling the kidnapped kids a joke, the joke was jarring and made him seem even more villainous. My favourite scene in the whole movie was when Thor, Valkyrie and Jane got trapped by the shadows, and Gorr was talking to them all individually. He was scary and ominous, and it was powerful to see Thor's worry for Jane, Jane's fear of dying, and Valkyrie's pain over losing her girlfriend and fellow Valkyries. This scene was really good, probably because Gorr had duct taped their mouths shut with his shadows, stopping them all from making quips. But yeah, that scene was good, and the battle afterward had some awesome shots. After Gorr gets the new hammer I can't be bothered to remember the name of, Jane is in hospital and she has a nice scene with Thor if you ignore the brightly coloured outfit he's wearing. That ends up not mattering in the grand scheme of things, but hey-ho. When Thor rescues the kids, he gives them all Thor powers, and it's ridiculous. If Thor was remotely scared of the creatures beating him, why would he allow small children to fight to fight them who have no fighting experience and only have his temporary powers. Of course, no kids died because that would ruin the funny bits to come. When Gorr goes into the god-wishing realm, he sees Jane and Thor and is reminded of his daughter by the way Thor and Jane love each other. And I thought that he would, I thought that having being rid of the evil sword, I thought he would save Jane's life because she's not dead and give them a chance yet. But instead, Thor and Jane basically tell him to save his kid. And Jane dies after saying bye to Thor. And then Thor dies after saying hi and bye to his daughter, who's been dead for God knows how many thousands of years. And then Thor and Gorr's daughter are living happily ever after with the rock guy narrating that Thor found something to live for. And then Thor and Gorr Jr. go kill bad guys. I hated that ending so much. It's sweet that Gorr Jr. was played by Thor's real-life child, but said child is probably not going to return to the MCU according to the actor, so that's that storyline done. Of course, Thor and Gorr Jr. have all but 3 minutes of screen time together where they make pancakes and she shoots laser eyes at the frying pan because she wants to wear her animal slippers outside, but whatever. At the end credits scene, Hercules has been sent to kill Thor, and I don't care. And Jane meets up with Heimdall in Valhalla, which just means that death is pointless other than to separate characters. I'm really quite upset. I did cry at the Jane bit because it was sad, but I mainly cried for myself because it's definitely the end of an era, as I'm officially sick of Marvel, aside from Daredevil and Spider-Man, because honestly, Spider-Man is the only franchise right now in the MCU that can balance humour and seriousness in a way that's natural. I feel a bit like Stan in that episode of South Park, where everything he hears, sees, and eats is shit. And I've never related more to Stan from South Park, ever. I just don't get it, what's going on with honestly, I'm very frustrated, and I'm quite upset, to be honest, at how, silly everything's just becoming. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and please leave a like, subscribe, or a dislike if you didn't like it, and comment down below your opinions. Thank you very much. Bye. Sorry, just one more thing. I just want to say that Jane's cancer not being able to be cured, with all the Asgardian, and galactic knowledge that Thor and his whatever have, I do feel like it was only done that way because they didn't want to offend anybody by having cancer be cured or something. And if that's the case, don't have it be cancer.